As fans around the world celebrate the teams that have so far made it through to the knockout stages, criticism is mounting over the toll of hosting the Middle East's first ever World Cup in light of another shocking admission. A Qatari official has put the number of worker deaths related to the tournament between 400 and 500. That's drastically higher than any other figure previously revealed by Doha. And it has raised questions over the competition's safety standards. Reports from the Supreme Committee dating from 2014 to 2021 include only the number of deaths of workers involved in building and refurbishing the stadiums now hosting the tournament. Those released figures put the total number of fatalities at 40 and include 37 from what Qataris describe as non-work incidents such as heart attacks. Now, for more, James Dorsey, Adjunct Senior Fellow at the S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies, joins us. James, what do you make of these new official numbers released by Doha? By contrast, Amnesty International put the numbers much higher and in the thousands since Qatar was awarded the World Cup in 2010.
The Qataris have been their own worst enemy in terms of managing the communications on these issues. Now, having said that, the number of deaths is a very murky issue. And in fact, if you look at what human rights organizations say, they themselves admit that they don't have a definitive figure. I think the bottom line of this is workers have died on World Cup-related construction sites, and the Qataris have, as well as the construction companies and FIFA, have not been forthcoming throughout the process on this.
Well, since the tournament started, the global audience of millions has witnessed extraordinary political gestures, from the Iran team not singing the national anthem to German players with hands over their mouths over FIFA silencing their support for LGBT rights. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think you can argue this, the glass is half full or half empty. I would argue that there are real issues here, and in a sense, Qatar unwittingly and maybe unwillingly has contributed to raising those issues. So we have seen an improvement of workers' conditions in Qatar over the last 12 years. We've seen FIFA at least nominally commit to human rights as part of its host selection process. And we've seen a focus on all kinds of other issues, including LGBT rights, that is going to go forth in the next, in future, or with regard to future sporting mega events. This is not something that's going to be shoved off the table after the Qatar World Cup.
And if we think about Qatar as a host nation, then one of their slogans was "Everyone is welcome." But there have been reports of fans being stopped from entering stadiums for clothing in support of different issues like women's rights in Iran or the LGBT support issue. They even U-turned on allowing alcohol at venues.
Well, I think we've got to keep in mind that, first of all, Qatar is an autocracy. It is not a democracy. Demonstrations are banned in Qatar. So what we've seen is that people wearing LGBT or rainbow colors have been asked to change their shirts, for example. There have been very few arrests. We've seen one Iranian protester briefly detained. So by and large, the Qataris have gone quite light-handed on all kinds of infractions of what would be Qatari law. But at the same time, they have been inclusive in the sense that LGBT fans are in Qatar, even if they cannot wear their colors. There's been protests. The Qataris have not been able to control protests against Iran in the stadiums. So, yes, it's a mixed bag, but it's not one that's not necessarily purely negative.
Now, you were featured in the Netflix documentary FIFA Uncovered that talks about the darker side of the game with regards to corruption and how host nations are chosen. For anyone that hasn't watched it, what should we know about FIFA as the governing body of global football?
Well, one of the things that has changed as a result of the awarding of the World Cup to Qatar has been that in the past, the host was selected by an executive committee of 24 people, and it was a very secretive process. Corruption was rampant. Now the host is being selected by the General Assembly of FIFA and its 211 members. What that means effectively, I think what we're going to see is a shift, and we've seen this already with Qatar, a shift from west to east, or rebalancing of power within the world, the soccer world, as it reflects a rebalancing of power globally in terms of geopolitics.
And Iran coach Carlos Queiroz says he hopes the next World Cup would feature less politics and more football, stressing there were better ways to use the sport as a force for good. He has an argument there, doesn't he?
Well, I think, again, the glass is half full or half empty. This is obviously a venue of high profile. Billions of people are watching this, and therefore it's clearly a venue on which you would want to protest. With all due respect to Carlos Queiroz, who is in a very difficult position as the manager of the Iranian team, he obviously would want to say this because he's caught in the middle. He has a team that is now returning from Qatar, who has made clear that a majority of its players sympathize with the protesters in Iran and could face difficulty when they return. So Carlos Queiroz is really not in a position to say very much else than what he did.
And the players themselves are also in a difficult spot, aren't they, when they fly the flag of the country, but at the same time refusing to sing the national anthem?
I think they're definitely in a very difficult position. Just on the eve of one of the matches, the Iranians arrested a former national player because of his pro-protest sympathies. He was released hours before the match, in a clear indication that there were sensitivities on the part of the regime here. But yes, I think we need to see what happens with this national team, not only from the moment that they land, but over a period of time.
All right, well, thank you for your thoughts as always. James Dorsey from the S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies.